Welcome to Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. Our podcast showcases inspiring appraisers and professionals from the industry who are leaders in their field. How did they get to where they are? What have they learned along the way? What can we learn from them? Your host is real estate investor, entrepreneur, and appraiser, Michael Hobbs.
Well, welcome to another informative, engaging, and inspiring episode of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. Thank you again for your generosity and your just contribution, continuing to share great feedback, great ideas, and more importantly, share the podcast with others. So whether you're getting it on Spotify or you're getting it over on iTunes or you're getting it there via YouTube, you continuing to share this out makes a difference. And, we have another great perspective to gain today. Rick, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Michael.
Oh, it's wonderful. You've got an amazing background, and as always, every single guest in their own way has a different path, a different story, their own, to use the Wizard of Oz reference, Yellow Brick Road journey. And so whether they've gotten to Oz or not, I don't know. You guys can figure that out on your own. And Rick will definitely share his perspective. And make sure to like the podcast and feel free to add any comments along the way. But Rick, everybody wants to know, were you born this way, or how did you get into the valuation and appraisal profession?
Well, Michael, I definitely wasn't born into this profession for sure.
Most people are not.
Yeah, no, this was quite the journey. Originally, born and bred and raised in England,
Yes.
in London, England. I came to the US or Arizona in 1995, October of 95.
Wow.
For some education in aviation. Aviation was my chosen path. And, while I was here, I just found Arizona to be beautiful. I was so enthralled by the sun, the crystal blue skies, the palm trees.
Yes.
I never really thought place like that existed unless it was on a show that I was watching, like Dynasty or Dallas. That's the only thing where I thought it was existed. So when I was fortunate enough to come out here, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool." Thought to myself long and hard that I would really, truly love to spend my life here in the state of Arizona. And
Wow.
that's kind of what I made happen. It took quite some time for me to actually get back here, earn the right to live and work here.
That's amazing. So were you in the airlines industry, or were you more in the aviation industry?
It was aviation, generally in the aviation industry, but that was where I wanted to take it, was into the airlines.
Yes.
But life had other plans for me.
Oh, you know what? It is amazing how we make plans and then life happens.
Absolutely.
So you get to visit, and how long was it between when you first visited and when you finally got back?
So 95, when I finished my education, was 96, June of 96. I made it back here in 1998.
Oh, okay.
Probably September. I think it was September of 98. And again, I had to go through the legal process of
Yes.
wanting to, live here and work. So there was a process to that. And that process took me probably close to, I don't know, 3 years
Wow.
on a working visa. And that took me to a green card a further 2 years after that, which was 5 years. And then
Yes.
3 years after that was my citizenship. So
Wow.
it took me a total of 8 years to become a citizen from 1998.
That's impressive, man. That's real commitment there, Rick.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication,
Mm-hmm.
and paying a hell of a lot of money for taxes.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, for those that are not up to speed on what's happening in Europe and specifically in England, they have a different challenge right now. But nonetheless, not everywhere in the world pays as high a taxes as those in the United States.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was somewhere that I wanted to be, and just been super happy since I did make that move here.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
like I
mentioned.
said,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to ask.
no,
Most
go
people
ahead.
don't realize the process of becoming a U.S. citizen, and just clarifying question there around. So you had this opportunity as a working visa. So I assume then you were in the airlines industry or the aviation industry in the U.S. doing that, or how did that work out for you?
No, I was not. So the working visa that I came to the US on, it was as in a business position.
Oh, okay.
So, but in that position, I had to make sure that I was contributing to a company in the
Mm.
UK, but paying taxes in the US.
Oh, geez. Wow.
So
How did that work out?
basically, what happens is a company in the UK, a legal company, sets
Yeah.
up something here in the US. I
Yes.
come over here to manage that business, pay those taxes, which leads me to a green card eventually.
Got it. Got it. So, which industries were you involved in your pursuit of getting citizenship here?
That was the music industry.
Are you
I had
famous?
a
You are
no,
you are you our
I had
first musician
I
here
had a
that we didn't
record
know
store
about?
called no. I had a record store called London West Records.
I love it. Oh my
Yep,
goodness.
very. It was Scottsdale, Arizona's largest record store at that time for that type of music, for dance music,
Yeah.
um, house music, and all along those
Oh
lines.
man. So you were selling vinyl.
There you go. That's what I was doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. Holy cow. And you didn't stay in vinyl? The video killed the radio star. What happened?
Well, that's interesting. What actually happened was one of my very good friends, and his name is HB, Hamid Panahi. He's a DJ, so his DJ name is DJ HB. Now, I haven't seen HB for, I don't know, maybe for like 20 over 20 years.
Wow.
But he was a DJ. He would come in probably every 3 days to buy vinyl. He was somebody that played in the local clubs. And
Yes.
it was through him, it was through a bet that I actually got into appraising.
Through a bet. Oh my gosh.
Through a bet,
Say
yeah.
more. Do say more.
So HB was, I think he was in a serious relationship, planning to get married and all that good
Yeah.
stuff, and said, you know what, I need a career. DJing isn't just going to cut it. I like to do DJing, but it's not going
Yes.
to cut it. So we just started talking. We were in a chat, and I go, so what are you thinking to do? He goes, there's a thing called appraising. He goes, I goes, I've heard some really good things about it. He goes, but I've been trying to get into it and trying to find myself like a supervisor, but nobody will give me an opportunity. And I always just happened to say, hey, look, you can do whatever you want to do. Just put your mind to it and just focus at it and don't give up. And you're going to get that. And he goes, no, Rick, you don't understand. This thing, I've asked for so many people, I've applied
Mm.
so many places, but they just won't give me an opportunity. I said, same again. You're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he goes, how about this? How about we have $100 bet? Let's see if you can get an apprenticeship.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I'm like, done. Let's do it. We shook hands that day. And I remember that following weekend, I went out and bought the Arizona Republic, the newspaper, and I
Yep.
was scrolling through the classifieds,
Yes.
and I saw a place called Emergency Appraisals, appraiser apprentice required.
What a
So I was
great
like,
name. Emergency. I've never heard that.
yeah,
That's fantastic.
emergency appraisals. It was a 24-hour service.
Yes. I love that.
So I applied, and I got a phone call. And I was like, "Hey, you want to come in and have a chat with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Sounds interesting." So that's where it started.
Wow, that is amazing. So they brought you in inexperienced in valuation, but very experienced in being able to select good music.
Exactly. There you go. That's
Oh,
it.
wow. That's amazing. So what did they bring you in? What'd you start out doing?
I was a trainee. I mean, it was, we went through a multi-stage process. I kept going to the interviews, not really thinking that, hey, this is something I'm going to do. But it was more to win the $100. Um,
Yes.
but as I got to know it a little bit more, it just it just really fit what I wanted to do in the sense of, hey, you can kind of mold your own schedule here, right?
Mm,
I could continue my love for aviation and flying,
yes.
and I could do this as well. One of the problems I was facing is, even though I was in the music scene, I still, was still continued to fly as well. But
Yes.
flying just didn't have any money, right? Even as an
Oh,
instructor,
got
the
it.
money was really poor. So,
Didn't know that.
it's very difficult to earn a living at that though in those years in
Hmm.
2001,
Yes.
very difficult as an instructor. So, you know, income was coming in from the record store, but majority of that profit was going to pay my taxes.
Yes.
And I still needed something to say, this is something that can be stable for me.
Got it.
And it just so happened that, I fell into appraising and I was given an opportunity by his name was Jamie, who owned 24-hour emergency appraisals.
Okay.
And yeah, the guys over there, they gave Kenny and Tim, they gave me an opportunity and said, Rick, we like your energy. We like, you know, what you bring to this. And here you go. Let's take you out on a couple of appraisals, show you what we do.
Wow, that is something else. Man, congratulations. That is
Well, thank you.
that is really great to hear. So how long did you stay with them before you found new opportunities?
I was with them for, I think it was until about 2004, so about 3 years.
Hmm.
So 3 years, and then somebody that I actually worked well, he was another trainee there. He got his certification, and he was going out to set up his own business. So he asked me to join him, which I took that opportunity, and we had our first appraisal firm in 2005.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So in that time frame, so what was the process like going from trainee, going through the steps to learn, and then stepping into a higher level of responsibility?
You know, from the appraiser trainee perspective, in all honesty, it was very, very much self-taught. Um,
Got it.
it was the appraisal firm was busy, right? So let's just say that time, absolutely somebody was always there when you had questions, but it was more of, sit there and get it figured out. And it was very challenging. The first, year and a half was very difficult, hours just spent trying to understand. Unfortunately, back in those days, we didn't have GPT to give us all the answers. So it was a challenge, but a lot of it was self-talk, talking to other peers,
Hmm.
and just trying to get advice from people.
Really,
And yeah, but that journey was great in itself because I really learned the part of, hey, don't ever give up. When you have a question,
really.
you've got to keep digging, right? If something doesn't seem right, we call it spidey senses, right? If something doesn't seem right, if your spidey senses are going off, it means that you need to dig. Just continue digging,
Hmm.
and you will find the answer that you're looking for.
Got it. Yeah, that's great to hear. So when you started out, what type of work were you guys doing?
Just residential work, just
Got it.
simple residential work, nothing too complex, more of the cookie cutter type work. And in those years, it was so busy. In 2004, 5, 6, 7. I mean,
Sure.
we were just, yeah, it was super busy. So I remember the fax machine just wouldn't stop. We'd come in the morning at 6 o'clock, and the fax machine would be full of orders.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great memory. So here you are, you go from working at a, well, I assume kind of fast turn environment, and then you learn to be an appraiser, and then you decide to go do it yourself. And then was it just you and your buddy, or did you grow from there based on the volume, or what happened?
Yeah, we grew from there. We took on 4 trainees. Uh,
Oh wow, okay.
it was myself and Sean, and that company was called Five Star Appraisals. And then we took on 4 trainees. We got them all to the point of being licensed. I think maybe
Yeah,
one of them became certified and 3 licensed. So the firm was doing decent. It was doing well. And then we all experienced what we all know in 2008, 9, 10, and 11, the big crash. And
hmm,
that's where, things kind of changed for me.
really, really. Tell me about that.
I had an opportunity to go to India at that time. So, and this was a good friend that I had met many years ago. I had an opportunity to go to India and kind of maybe pursue the aviation part of my life. So I made the decision to move to India in 2008.
Oh wow, interesting time to relocate.
There you go. It just felt like a good time then. And so I moved out there, lived in Mumbai for about a year, and then moved to Goa
Yes.
and lived there, and between Delhi as well. So lived there for I think it was total of close to 5 years.
Wow. That's a much like the United States, that is a big country.
It
India.
is absolutely.
I've seen it on the map. That's about my experience with it, but that's amazing. So that those 5 years you were there, you were back in the aviation industry, is what I understand.
Yes, I was pursuing, my passion. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, the aviation industry just kind of tanked back in
Yeah.
2011 and
Hmm.
12 as well. So it was really difficult following that because having a young family at that time kind of felt like this is great for a single guy. If I was a single guy and just
Mm,
being able to move wherever they wanted you to at any given time, right? So
yes.
with aviation, you got to kind of have that mindset of if I need to go here for a year or two, I need to move. And I just at that time it just kind of felt like no, that wasn't the right pathway for my life at that time.
I got it. I got it. So what happened next?
So another good friend of mine who is an appraiser who used to be my roommate, Ryan Campbell. He's now the Phoenix chapter president for AI. We were roommates, but we were both not appraisers. He was a DJ. So how did we meet? We met in my record store.
Yeah, I was gonna say going back to busting out, busting out the vinyl, the days of disco and making the club scene happen.
Ryan had a connection with his name is Axis Appraisal Management Solutions, and he knew Kim Prodi and Michael very well. He knew both of them very well, Michael Simmons, and they were looking for someone. They were setting up operations in Tempe, Arizona. Their head office was in San
Oh,
Rafael, California. And, Ryan and me were speaking like, every week. And he was just kind of asking me what was my plans were. And I said, look, I feel like it's time to move back. Um, and he just said, he goes, hey, if that's what you're thinking, may have an opportunity for you. Can I put you in touch with them? So that's where that journey took off.
that's amazing. What a small world to connect through Ryan
Yeah,
back through Arizona to
yeah,
uh to
absolutely.
to bring you across the pond again to
Exactly.
great state. That's great. So here you go, and you get a chance to join Axis.
80% of all businesses fail within 5 years, according to the US Census Bureau. With so many roles and responsibilities that must be managed and have nothing to do with appraisal reports, is it any surprise that it's hard to keep up? Much less having a sense of peace, stability, and profitability that comes from growing your business? Given all of this, you might already be thinking about exiting your business one day. Don't miss the limited opportunity to work with Michael, a real estate expert and professional coach. He has worked with more than 300 owners and entrepreneurs to find their highest and best use by solving problems that reach their most important goals. Compress decades of learning into days by working with Michael. Michael is famous in real estate and business coaching. With his help, you can accelerate your growth, increase your quality of life, and earn more money, all while ultimately doing less. Michael helps you not just grow your business, but also find new purpose in it and in your life. If you're ready to take control instead of being controlled, contact him on LinkedIn or email him at michaelh@paru.com.
Correct. Yeah. So Kim and Michael, graciously offered me the role of being at that time it was just a QC reviewer, but kind of managing their Tempe
Hmm.
office and helping manage that. So I flew back. I remember flying back, and I had to fly to Austin. I flew to Austin to go and do my 7 hour USPAP renewal. So I done that because Arizona were one of the few states did not allow online. It had to be in person in class.
Oh, wow.
So I had to fly all the way back from India to come and do a 7 hour USPAP class in Austin, Texas. But once that was done, we had all the interviews, that good stuff, and they offered me the position. And the beautiful thing was, they really understood my situation. It's not easy just to pick up and pack up 5 years of your life and kind of be back here in a jiffy, right? So
Yes.
they allowed me about a year. They allowed me a year and a half to just stay in India and
That's great.
wrap up my affairs and move back here over that year and a half. We made a couple of trips back, but it was super positive. They're a big part of my life, both Kim and
Hmm.
Mike, and many others at Axis, Ron
Yes.
Simmons, Jim Jenkins, and Bill Wartenbaugh, as you know. So many of these people played a big part in my journey here. And yeah, so eventually we moved back to Arizona in 2013, I believe it was. Late 2013.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And how did it go from there?
Yeah, it went great. I really delved into the QC part of appraising. Had never really
Yes.
seen that part before, so And in all honesty, I learned so much there. In my 8 years, I grew from a QC review appraiser to the QC and escalations manager.
Got it.
My goal was at that time to become a chief appraiser, and that was the discussions I had with Kim and Mike.
Yes.
And I didn't pursue that just for certain reasons, and we can go into those after. But
Yeah.
once I was in that role at Axis, you know, both Jim, Kim, and Michael, we could see that we used to have some heavy volumes,
Hmm.
and they were already offshoring to a company for just a small part of their QC. It wasn't nothing big. The work that was being done offshore was kind of like the back end work, checking the photos, the labels, all that good stuff, and making
Yes.
sure that the sketch matches the grid and the parts that, as a reviewer here, you don't really want to be focused on. You want to be focused on the credibility and is the value being supported. So that part was really nice, but it was very inconsistent with the company that we were using.
Got it. That's a challenge. So how did that develop?
So yeah, I flew out to India, I flew out to meet that company, and just to try to get an understanding of their processes, their workflows, and their setup. And when I did arrive at their office, great people, but I felt that the office, the environment wasn't too positive. That I felt just the working space. Then I realized the turnover was huge, and kind of what we spoke about earlier. This is India, and we have to understand that if you get offered another whatever 2,000 rupees, whatever, 20, $30, you're probably
Sure.
going to move, right? Because typically they are the only breadwinner and every penny counts. So
Yes.
we saw this cycle that, we would train, I would train for a month, they would become really good 2 months later. And then on the third month, we'll be back to where we were, 3 months ago. It was like, what's happened here? Where these, why has the quality suddenly gone down? So it was just a continuous cycle. And, myself and again, Jim, Kim, and Michael kind of sat down and said, look, how do we get past this? Because we've been experiencing this for about a year, just over a year now,
Hmm.
and it's extremely difficult to manage.
Yes.
Volumes were super high again at that time, and we made a decision to open up offshore company.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. So, but that offshore company, it was really only to service Axis at that time. And pretty much what
Got it.
we were doing already, but just where we would have the dedicated people and we could control, who was coming in, who was coming out. And, we would be controlling obviously the salaries. So we understood, the good people, the people that we've spent a lot of time training and invested a lot of our time and energies into, we want to keep those people.
Yeah, that makes sense. How did that work out for you?
It worked out well. That continued. So that is the company that is our offshore company today is
Oh,
Synced
I see.
Global Solutions.
Hmm.
So, but in 2019, my beautiful wife told me that she was expecting a child. Um, so it was like, man, I was kind of taken aback a little bit, but and I spoke to the whole team at Axis about this, and then, you know, I'd given 8 years, 9 years of my life there, and I loved every minute of it. I loved the
Yes.
people. There was a lot of mutual respect. I really grew as a person. I really grew as an appraiser. I I grew in so many facets of my life, so I owe them a lot, right? I owe them for that teaching, and
Hmm.
not many people go into this saying, "Hey, we're going to give you that time." And Axis, Kim and Michael really gave me the opportunity to go out and shine. And
Yes.
but in 2019, with the news that we were expecting, I made the decision at that time to leave Axis
Oh,
and
wow.
go back out onto the field as a field appraiser, and also take over full control of Sync Global Solutions and see what we could do. Because again, we were only servicing one client, which was Axis, and that's really all we could service because we're all working at Axis.
Oh, I understand. That definitely makes good sense. How was that experience? I mean, stepping out, I mean, once again, you'd already done it once before, and now you're stepping out in a whole nother level to take on building a business, which is very different from doing the business.
It was definitely nervous, right? There was a lot of sleepless nights because you're going from the comforts of a job, comforts of a you know having a salary every couple of weeks, and we all understand as appraisers, no matter how many times we say it, the feast or famine, right? I've gone through it multiple times now, and I've kind of become numb to it. What I do know is somebody once told me, and this was in 2006 or seven, a very wise gentleman. His name was Dan. He was my USPAP instructor. I'd never been through one of those cycles at that time. And he said, Rick, man, you're going to be so busy. You're going to be good. But just let me tell you one thing. Don't go out there and start buying flashy cars and nice homes and spending all your money. Trust me, don't do it. Save it. Well, I didn't take his advice in 2006. I bought myself a flashy car, I bought myself lovely clothes, best
Oh man.
restaurants. And then when that market turned, I was like, oh my God, now I understand what he's talking about. But hey, I knew it and I was ready for the next time around. So,
Wow, that's
it was a matter
fabulous.
of just making sure life was well taken care of and we saved correctly. So yeah, that's where that part kind of got to.
I totally get that. What an experience. So you've been, as so many of us have, lived through and have the wounds, the scars, maybe just as you might say, from that period of time. And you take on this opportunity to build up a business. What was that experience like? Because unlike all of our guests to date, they haven't built up a business like yours. So it's not the same. In one sense, it is the same, but in another sense, it's completely different because most people are calling, asking, "Hey, can you send me work?"
Yeah.
In a sense, in the space that you guys are in, it's different.
Absolutely. That space is for sure different, right? It really complements. So we do have an appraisal firm as well, right? So it does complement. So that was really when I left Axis, in all honesty, the goal was not to really focus too much on Sync Global Solutions at the time. It was to focus on our appraisal firm at that time.
Oh, I see.
And that was, from 2019 to like maybe 2022, we were so busy. And my wife, she's been in the medical field as senior manager. She was senior manager at Kaiser in
Ah,
Northern California. So she was here in Arizona. She moved here to be with me, and she went on with her career with Banner. And in I don't know, it was 21. I was like, yeah, this is really difficult for me to manage. I really could do with some help. What do you think about leaving your career of 17 years and
wow.
becoming an appraiser? It's really
Sounds like
cool.
a terrible idea. Yeah, thanks so much for asking.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, exactly. All these crazy thoughts we have, but so yeah, she did. She left her career and
Wow.
she joined the appraisal firm, and she was really enjoying it. She was like, "This is amazing! Like we get so much work. It's crazy. It always is." I said, "No, there's a time that you're going to see this. It stops, and when it does, it stops real hard." She was like, I don't believe that. I can't see that. And I think in 2022, whenever it was, we really slowed down again. But we were pretty cool. We made sure we understood what could happen.
Hmm.
But it was at that time that, Upi said, look, hey, let's go to India. Let's go and see how the office is over there. Let's go and meet the people and the employees. We haven't, maybe I've met them once, but she hadn't met them before. And in all honesty, when we went, both of us said, look, we're probably going to end up closing that business down. The day that
Wow.
we got on that aircraft and flew to Mumbai and then got a flight to Kolhapur and to the office, we both looked at each other and said, we're going to close this down. Let's kind of focus on everything that we got going on at home and, you
Got it.
know, kids and all the good stuff that we had going on. So that's where we were. And, we took out every employee and their spouses for dinner. And it was at that point that, we saw the people for the first time. We saw the spouses for the first time. We saw their children. They brought their kids along as well, and we saw
Yeah.
families. And then we
Hmm.
realized that we both realized this separately, right? Because the stories at the table were that, hey, we have this opportunity in this
Sure.
smaller town, and it was very sad for us. So it's funny, we both left that dinner that evening, went to the hotel, and we both looked at each other, no words, but we just said, we can't close this down.
Oh,
We can't do it.
wow.
And
Amazing.
that was when Upi said, look, she goes, I'm gonna fully. involve myself into Sync Global Solutions, and I'm going to have your support and need your help along the way. You kind of focus more on the appraisal firm, and you got my help and support along the way.
Wow, that's commitment. Both of the parental units into the mix.
Yeah.
Amazing. So how did it go from there?
Look, in November of 2022, we had one client, and then we kind of just sat about sitting around and start talking. And look, from my time in the industry, and I would say, from my time with Axis, I had the privilege of working with such, brilliant minds. I truly did. Good friends now, Jim Jenkins, Bill Wartenbauer, Todd Rasmussen. I mean, the list goes on and on. I was very fortunate to work with such good people. And through those people, I made phone calls to everybody and said, "Hey,
Yes.
look, this is what we're doing, and if you have an opportunity, I'd love to." These guys all know me anyway. These guys and girls already know me because I worked with them all, and there's a few others: Kim Caputo, Marnie, Dow, and they all left Axis, but they all used to work on my team.
Yes.
George Forte, so they all went elsewhere. Tom Voss. I've got so many names, but I won't keep throwing them out. But they all went elsewhere, and they gave recommendations. So we just started growing, and it wasn't,
It's great.
something that we really pushed too much, but we wanted to make sure we took it at a slow pace to understand the talent that we were hiring over there as well, making sure it was trained, making sure that talent was trained correctly.
That's a key. I mean, anytime there's an opportunity to work with, whether it's a trainee, whether
Yep,
it's an experienced professional, whoever it might be, it's a matter of ensuring the quality of work that gets done wherever they might be located.
yep, absolutely.
That is phenomenal. What an amazing experience. So at this point today, what's the primary focus of the company?
Look, I like to say valuation, right? I don't want
Okay,
to say just appraisal. We have grown to now over 16 clients.
congratulations.
Thank you. And, I think we're close to probably 70 employees at this time now.
That's great.
So, in that 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, we went from, 8 employees, one client, to
Hmm.
16 clients and close to 70 employees. So, and I like to, of course, say valuation. So we don't, it's not only appraisal review. Yeah, we do appraisal review. And I always say that that's really the foundation. That's what I kind of look at, that part of it. But there's many other parts of it, as you know, right? You have the report typing. There's the private money space as well.
Oh yeah,
So the private money space it's huge.
it is.
BPOs and data entry. So really anything to do with valuation, but more than that as well. What we like to say is, hey, if it can be offshored, we can do it.
And I think that's an interesting conversation, especially in the industry these days. So many other industries have been in and around a global team for decades, and this profession significantly less so. What are activities that can be provided by a global team?
I mean, there's so much, right? We also do provide bookkeeping services.
Oh, I see.
That's a big one. We
Yes.
provide social media. That's another big one. Is we'll manage your whole social media platform,
Hmm.
from design, graphics, web development, social media. And just outreach. Go out there, find you sales, generate leads. I mean, it goes so many ways. It can continue growth. One of the parts that we truly are excelling in right now is what we call the FTE model, the full-time employee model.
Oh, I
So
see.
where we offer our clients a dedicated full-time employee, just as they would be coming into the office here,
Yes.
that dedicated 8, 9 hours a day, Monday
Hmm.
through Friday, and whatever you need them for, whatever admin tasks you need them for, they can be, they're multitaskers, they're all arounders. That part of our business has really excelled over the past, and we've found some really good, very good responses. But that really depends on the type of staffing, right? I mean, that's obvious, but
Yes.
those people have to be really, really good and smart at what they do, and they
Yes.
have to be able to have that logical and reasonable reasoning thinking.
No, that completely makes sense. And it's encouraging to hear you have, diversified offerings, to support a range of clients, of which, valuation is definitely a piece of it. Oh, that is incredible. So, I mean, Rick, given everything that you've seen and everything you've heard and everything you've experienced so far in the time you've been in and around the industry, what are you optimistic or looking forward to over the next 3 to 5 years?
Just the growth. Look, I think technology, right? For me, technology, I will say this. Look, when I first left the field in 2007-ish, I had a paper clipboard. I had a clipboard with my folder, my magenta folder, a pencil, and a tape measure. When I re-entered the field in 2019, I had a disto. I had an iPad mini, and I was so not trusting of my disto or my iPad mini. I went on an appraisal in 2019 with a good friend of mine who's an appraiser. His name's Martin Riley. He took me on an appraisal, and he gave me this disto. I was like, "What is this?" I said, "I need a tape
Yes.
measure." He goes, "No, we don't use those things no more." So I measured the house with this disto thing, and I was like, I don't believe it. So I re-measured the house with my tape measure, and I've seen how far technology came in those 12 years.
Yes.
And today we sit here and look at technology, right? We see AI. It's just amazing what can be achieved. So forward thinking about, QC work, to me, the future is utilizing the technology that we have. And
Hmm.
it's about building something. When that will happen, I'm not sure, but you have to have the right people, right? You have to have the right people and that actually share that vision as well. And that to me is probably the hardest thing to find right now. But we keep pushing each and every day, and
Hmm.
so that and also from the other side is just making sure our clients we what makes us feel good about this is that we see them growing, right?
Got
We
it.
see them growing, and when they come and ask us for additional staffing, we know we're doing something right. So those are the things I just, looking at that and looking at my family and watching my kids go to college and seeing them do well and all my family, my mum and dad in London and my sisters, their husbands and all my nieces and nephews. It's a big thing for me, family and my Upi's family, my family now, all in California. So making sure that we are as a unit and
Hmm.
we continue to grow as a unit.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great way to go about it. Definitely what a great way to go about it. Well, Rick, I really appreciate you joining us and thanks so much for sharing a little bit of your story. What a fascinating journey, literally across the pond and then back again. And here you are having a contribution in the industry and helping more people get more of their valuable time back, which, there's one thing we come to appreciate more and more these days. That is important. Very important.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate it, Michael. Thank you so much for having me on this wonderful podcast. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Rick, for those that don't know how to reach you, how would somebody reach out and connect with you? You mentioned that you provide a number of services, and even those beyond the valuation industry.
Yeah, they only can reach me over via email. My email is rick@synced.us, syncd.us. Pretty,
.us.
pretty simple, I think.
Yeah, that is simple. Excellent. Well, Rick, just again want to say thank you so much, and I know our listening community always values the diverse perspectives and experiences because there's no one way to get in and be in and stay in this industry. And your experience definitely shows that entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, friends. Thanks so much. Until our next episode of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose. We hope you enjoyed learning from the amazing professional paths and achievements of our beloved guests. Before we go, please subscribe on your listening channel, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other podcast channels to hear more from appraisers and valuers regarding their life and their work. After you drop a comment below, who is one friend and peer you can generously share this episode with? If you have any suggestions or questions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us a message on LinkedIn and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks again for listening, and until we're together again for the next session of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose, create the change that you seek.